This episode is brought to you by the Arvada Center. The Broadway smash hit, The Waitress. Wait, is it The Waitress or Waitress? Waitress. Waitress is showing. The Broadway smash hit Waitress the Musical comes to the Arvada Center this fall. This sweet, sassy, feminist musical rom-com tells the story of a small-town pie maker who never gives up on her dreams. This is a show about celebrating friendship, chosen family, and the joys of a good pie. Waitress is showing August 30th through October 13th. Tickets are on sale now at arvadacenter.org. That's arvadacenter.org. Waitress the Musical. This episode is brought to you by the Regional Air Quality Council. This summer, don't go alone. Try carpooling and combining trips, or take transit to get where you need to go to reduce ground-level ozone. Ozone is the Front Range's biggest air quality issue and a leading cause of respiratory problems, and it's created from pollutants like car exhaust. Want to know when it matters to take these simple steps for better air? Sign up for summer ozone text alerts by sending Better Air CO to 21000 or visit simplestepsbetterair.org.
Today on CityCast Denver, a record 37.4 million tourists visited our Mile High City last year, according to new numbers from Visit Denver. But apart from ogling Blucifer, hiking up to Red Rocks, and reserving a visit to Rocky Mountain National Park, where do you go to avoid the crowds? We've rounded up some of our favorite underrated places to take tourists around Colorado. Today is Wednesday, August 7th. I'm Bree Davies, and here's what Denver's talking about. Producer Paul Caroli, hello.
Hey, Bree.
And friend of the show, previous guest, comedian, and host of the Left Hand Right Brain podcast, JD Lopez. Welcome back.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me back.
Of course.
Appreciate
Thanks
it.
for joining us. So recently, Visit Denver published some data regarding our city's tourism numbers, and they are up. So Denver welcomed 37 million visitors in 2023, which is up 3% from last year. And it also means they generated... all these people visiting generated like $10 billion in revenue, which is a lot of money. But it got us thinking about tourism and what tourists do when they come to Colorado and what we think they should do. JD, you grew up in Greeley.
Yes.
What did you come to Denver for?
I mean, Denver, we didn't come up a lot. Baseball games every now and then, always left before it ended. My dad was like, let's get out of here.
I'm your dad. I am definitely your dad.
Yeah.
I'm not sitting in traffic. I am not waiting in the parking garage. I don't care if we miss the best part of the game. We're out of here.
That was the big draw. I remember getting pulled out of school when the Avalanche won their first
1996 Stanley Cup.
Yes. And coming for that parade. That was very memorable.
I think those are tourism activities for sure.
Okay, yeah,
those are big deals. Well, we've come up with a little set of categories of underrated and or worthwhile tourist traps that we would take folks to when they come to visit. We're going to start with the first category, which is somewhere that's family friendly. Paul, do you want to start?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'm known for my my family friendly recommendations.
I mean,
I forgot. Do you want to start? Yours is the one that's going to be actually good here.
I mean, sure. Mine is an obvious one, I think, to most listeners, which is the Cherry Creek Mall. I take folks here every time they come to visit. I go to malls when I visit other places. So I take folks to the mall when they come to visit.
I do love a mall.
And it's got a kids area. It's got great shopping. You can park there and you can wander over to Cherry Creek North if you want to, walk around with the kids. There's some streets that are closed off. I make a day out of it, and I don't know. It's my easy go-to. Also, doesn't matter time of year. Anytime you can go there, you can take kids there anytime. You don't have to check the hours. There's no ticketing. Because sometimes with kids, it's like, who's in the mood? Who's napping? What is going on? This is the easiest way to do it. So that's my pick. Paul, what about you?
Okay, so I picked a place that it's a little bit outside of Denver because that's kind of my thing with tourists that come to town now is like I have taken people to the places. You know, we've gone to Red Rocks. We've gone to downtown, I guess. I don't even know. So I picked a place that's down in the San Luis Valley that when I went, it was mostly kids and they were all screaming and having a great time. So I think that it was a good place to take a family. The Colorado Gator Farm.
Oh.
I've been there.
You been there?
I have
Yeah,
never
yeah. It's
been
by the
there.
sand dunes, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
By
I've
the
seen the
sand dunes,
signs.
the UFO watchtower. Yeah, it's such a weird place that exists here in a state with not much water. But there's a place that you can go see some alligators. It's got a funny story, a backstory. It used to be a tilapia farm where these people found like some water heated by like geothermal springs or something, and then the tilapia died. And so this is from their
So
website.
they were like gators.
A surplus of dead fish. Blah blah blah. They had a surplus of dead fish. Instead of throwing away the dead fish, in 1987 they bought 100 baby alligators to take care of the fish remains naturally.
Wow.
Which is a weird start to a weird story, and the place is still weird. It's like when you go through there, it is still the tilapia farm. It's these big like barrels
tanks?
and tanks, and some of them have gators in them, and some of them have other kinds of fish and stuff. It doesn't have the AZA accreditation that like zoos normally do.
Doesn't sound like it.
Yeah, so it's like very kitschy, very like, is this place safe? Is this legit? And I had a great time there.
A lot more fencing than they did when it was a tilapia farm, I'm sure.
I'm sure.
I just remember big
I hope so.
fences, looking over a big fence and seeing big alligators.
That's so wild. Can you feed the alligators?
You can feed the alligators. You can hold the alligators, the smaller ones.
Do they feed them marshmallows? I've seen
I
that.
don't remember that.
Okay.
Do you remember what they fed
I
them,
don't
JD?
remember that exactly, but I do have a picture of me and my grandpa, and I'm holding a small alligator that's mouth is
There you
taped
go.
shut.
Oh goodness.
I know.
Yeah.
It's clear tape. So I remember I was like thinking they're trying to keep an illusion here, but
Yeah.
it might not be. Yeah, that might not be nice for the alligator.
Yeah, I don't think this is probably a great place for the alligators. They claim to be a refuge. They claim to be a place where like gators that were in like Hollywood movies go after they're too old. They say they have those gators.
Do they have any famous gators?
When I was Googling, I didn't find any.
Okay. Okay.
I remember
Just
they claimed to
general.
have famous gators, but I forgot why they might have been famous.
Okay. I like it. JD, what about you? Something family friendly.
Yeah, family friendly. I was having not a hard time thinking about it, but I was thinking about my childhood when I would go up to Pueblo and with my grandparents a lot of the time. They lived in Fowler, but Pueblo was a big draw. But we'd also go to Bishop's Castle a lot as a
yeah.
kid. Is
Great
what I was
choice.
getting to. Yeah, it's Rye, Colorado, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like San Isabel National Forest. It's right by there. Have you been in that national forest at all?
Never.
No. Yeah, me either. But I mean, it says it's in the heart of it, so I guess I have been. But yeah, so the parking's a little weird. You got to just park along the side of the road. But I mean, there's plenty. I mean, it's a magical place for a kid. It's like a fairy tale place.
Yeah, how would you describe Bishop's Castle if someone's never? It's hard to.
A DIY castle.
Some guy's project.
Yeah, what is it? What
It's
does
one
it
of those
look
some
like?
guy's project tourist traps.
I don't even
It
know where I would
looks like a
start
castle.
describing what. It's kind of a cat. It's like made of rocks and stuff, and there's
That's
like a
what castles are
dragon
made
head on
out
it.
of.
I guess so.
Yeah, I know he started off as a welder, and so there's a lot of elaborate welding work there because they were like showing off how they did that. So a lot of welding things, a lot of caged
Caged in area things.
caged in areas.
I don't know how to describe it either, but I know what you're saying.
There's a dragon's head that can spit fire.
That's
they used
what
to
I've
do.
seen in pictures.
Yeah.
That looks very cool.
Yeah, it is.
It's definitely, I think, for kids in that like they will be wowed.
Yes,
Like,
kids a
this
magical
is-
place.
Parents will be like,
adult
"This is weird."
safety.
Kids, this is so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I thought of kids, I thought, that's where I went a bunch of times as a kid. There's a cool little gift shop. You can get a sword, King
Oh.
Arthur stuff.
I like it. I like it. Okay, Bishop's Castle. That's great.
It's free. So
Oh,
that's
is
always, Yeah. There's a donation box, but yeah.
honestly
every time I
even
went,
better though.
it was free. So
If it's free it makes it easier for families.
Gator Farm's not free.
yeah.
Just saying. This episode is brought to you by Incogni. Because data brokers are collecting and selling your personal information every day. I'm talking about your social security number, your address, health and financial records, and everything else they can get their hands on. And they're selling it to the highest bidder. Scammers, total strangers, insurance companies, banks, businesses, and even the government are using your personal information to target you. So it's time to check out Incogni. That's Incogni. Incogni scrubs your personal info from the web. Simple as that. Incogni takes only 3 minutes to set up, tackles more than 180 data brokers and people search sites, and they've got a 30-day money-back guarantee. Protect your data, your time, and your sanity. Get Incogni today and never look back. Use the code CITYCAST for 55% off the annual plan at incogni.com. That's INCOGNI.com.
Summer is supposed to be an opportunity to slow down, but when you look at your kids, you can't help but notice that your kids are growing up fast. Help them build independence as they grow with Greenlight. Greenlight is a debit card and money app for families, where parents can keep an eye on kids' money habits while kids learn how to save, invest, and spend wisely. It's the easy, convenient way to raise financially smart kids. Get your first month free when you sign up at greenlight.com/Spotify.
Okay, our next category is something scenic or outdoorsy. JD, what do you have?
Had to give it up for Mesa Verde National Park.
Okay.
I've been a handful of times. I loved it. It was one of those things as a kid you see, we watch videos, and I was a kid and I always wanted to go there. It seemed so magical and just like mysterious, because the whole thing as a kid is like, we don't know where they went. It's this big mystery. The Anasazi people, they're still there is, I think what.
I don't think that's right, actually. And I don't think they call them Anasazi anymore. Not to challenge you on
Puebloans?
this. Ancestral Puebloans is the term. I worked with some
yes.
anthropologists on something around this.
Okay, cool.
And they
So
left.
I didn't mean to be insensitive. I didn't.
No,
I've
you're
heard
great.
both terms. So
I'll tell an anecdote in a second. It's even
Okay.
more insensitive. We can.
okay.
But there was the ancestral Puebloan people they left during like a series of droughts and but yeah, you're right. There is not. No one really knows for sure why, but it was like in year 1200 or 1300 or something. But yeah, I don't think people live in the cliff dwellings now.
No. Well, I mean, the Pueblo people,
Yes.
they're still around, and they talk about the ancestors still being there a lot.
It's one of those things that's just really grand to
Yes,
see, I think, too.
it's also just like kind of a awesome, breathtaking place that's beautiful and great to see.
It really is special and underappreciated in the state.
I think so.
I haven't been since I was a kid. This is a good reminder.
Oh, you went when you were a kid?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, the
Totally.
idea of like ladders going down and ladders and stuff was always just wow. Like, you're going down the side of a cliff on a
It's
ladder.
crazy.
Yeah.
I love that. Good choice. Paul, what about you? Something scenic or outdoors oriented?
I want to tell my story.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Sorry.
sorry.
No,
Because
tell your
JD
story.
and I actually went to Mesa
We went
Verde
together.
a couple
Oh, you
years
did?
ago. We
Yeah,
had great
You're in the
time.
lead. Okay.
Yeah.
Great time. And I used to do this thing whenever I would like go to one of these touristy places.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
This was like I thought a really funny gag. Probably was funny for a long time. But anytime you'd go and you'd pose, instead of going like, oh, look at the Eiffel Tower and me, I would pretend to throw up on it. That would be my pose that I would do. Like I would pretend to get nauseous and sick, and then I have a bunch of pictures of myself
JD's
looking
visual
sick.
ambivalence over if this was funny or not is
Well, it makes
really
it
adding to the story.
Yeah, it just all of a sudden seems just disrespectful. to Mesa Verde,
That's
for
when I
sure.
stopped doing it. Because that place it's still important to a lot of people, and it didn't feel right to barf on that
No.
particular spot.
I would take that personally. Those were
Yeah.
my ancestors' lands.
Eiffel Tower, hilarious though.
Yeah, man-made.
Man-made.
But things made for tourism, I think
Yeah.
I could see it being a little different.
Yeah,
Like this
yeah.
is the Eiffel Tower was made for that, right? I don't know.
No, I get what you're saying.
You know what I'm
it has a
saying?
different
It's
feeling.
not like a
There's just
former home of
yeah,
someone.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
I'm glad you stopped doing that, Paul.
that's growth, man.
Good for you.
Thank you.
You really evolved. Well, Paul, what about you?
My outdoor scenic tourist destination. So something that's been in the news here a lot the last few years, something cool that Colorado's done, at least some people think it's cool, ranchers probably don't, is reintroduce wolves to our ecosystems. So we have a bunch of wolves running around the western slope now. That's not really a tourist thing, but a place that you can go to learn more about wolves and see some wolves close up is the Colorado Wolf and Wildlife Center outside Florissant. It's a 2-hour drive from Denver. It's just west of the Springs. They are AZA accredited. So
I've been
this
there.
is a little bit. Oh, you've been there?
Yeah, I've been there.
What
My
did you
aunt took me there when I was a kid.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I mean, it was intimidating. They got a lot of big animals, wandering the property. They have a lot of wolf dogs, that
The hybrid-y.
that are just hanging out, and that they can be a little intimidating, especially to an 8-year-old boy, who knows he has no chance of outrunning any of these.
Yeah, I was like, I am a little scared. I do feel
Well,
a little scared.
my aunts used to donate, so they were able to go, and we got in one of the enclosures.
that's
and
so
things.
cool.
Yeah, it was very interesting.
I love that pic.
Well, they got all sorts of stuff there. You can see wolves, coyotes, foxes, learn about the history of the biology. They do full moon tours.
Ooh.
All the tours end in a group howl. So you howl and then the wolves howl back.
Oh, they do?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
It is really cool. It's a cool spot. Great gift shop. That's my rec for outdoors scenic.
Yeah, one of the things about the Mesa Verde, going back to this, like the night sky thing, is a big
Yes.
deal about being able to see without light pollution.
Oh, yeah.
So that's also something you can do there in the evenings as well. You know.
Honestly, anytime you get that opportunity, do it because I saw a meteor shower once in an
Oh,
area
wow.
that had no light pollution and it was like unreal. And I just think about anytime you have that opportunity, it's something you can't take a picture of and experience the same way.
Right.
That's so cool. Well, mine is a little stretch of the definition of scenic, outdoors oriented. I picked the Dushanbe Tea House in Boulder. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's so elaborate. There's elaborate woodwork in it. There's beautiful plants everywhere, tile work, plaster work, and a fountain in the center of it. And it's just this really calming, beautiful place. And the food is amazing. So they're a tea house and they have this really extensive, incredible tea menu, but you can also get brunch, lunch, afternoon. They do an afternoon tea service. They do dinner. Highly recommend reservations because it's a really popular place. And it's just absolutely beautiful. It has this like really globally inspired menu. It's like samosas, Mediterranean salads, polenta, chilaquiles, like just all kinds of different things. And it's a 5-minute drive to Chautauqua Park in Boulder too. So if you're going up there for a show or you want to go for a hike, it's just like a nice thing to do or before or after that. It's just this really calming, beautiful place. And I went there for the first time last year and I couldn't believe I had never been there before because it's been around for so long, but it's this really beautiful place.
Yeah, my wife always she always says we should go there.
Oh,
And I've never understood why I would want to go. But this sounds cool.
You should look. It's beautiful on the inside and it's so calming.
Do you have to make a reservation?
I would highly
Yeah, I was
recommend
gonna
it.
say.
It's a pretty popular place, so I would. I've never done their afternoon tea, which sounds really fun, but I've had dinner there, and it's just really beautiful. The food is just like so intentional. It's just such a great place.
I remember trying to take a girl there in like high school right out of high school. I was like, oh, I impressed her with this nice place. Couldn't get in.
Oh no!
We just ended up in Boulder walking around because so
you
make a
can't just
reservation.
walk around Boulder. You can
if you
walk
want to
around
impress
Pearl
the ladies.
Street.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't end up being terrible, but also wasn't the intention.
Yeah, it's a real. I mean, I'm not a huge Boulder person, but it's one of the places in Boulder that I love, and along with Chautauqua Park, which I've seen some incredible shows there too. It's this really old, beautiful building. I saw like randomly Ira Glass there and the Indigo Girls, and not together, but but also
what a show, double bill.
But yeah, I don't know. It's a nice mix, and again, like I said, you can literally drive 5 minutes and walk around. Okay, our last category is adults only. Anybody want to go? Adults only, 21 plus tourist things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was picked the Orvis Hot Springs in Ridgeway, Colorado.
Nice.
It is clothing optional, so that's why I thought 21 up. I
Yes.
mean, they you can bring your family there. It is, I think they say 18 and under can't be nude, but I
That's
definitely was there
shocking.
one time, and there were some little kids running around naked. So
Bizarre.
I know, I was
mean,
like,
it was that part was kind of weird, but it's so nice. Now they don't. There's not always children there.
What kind of hot springs is this? Is this more like a built up kind of spa situation, or is this more like a natural?
It's right
like
in
hole
between.
in the
They have
ground?
some natural. I mean, it's the all fed from natural waters. They do regulate the heat. In different pools, so you can choose your heat level you want to.
I like
pick.
that.
But yeah, it's all very natural ish pools. Because they do. They have dug a hole to make it
it's
work.
a whole Doug kind
Yeah.
of place. Okay.
The whole thing is it's very nature oriented. I mean, there's fencing around it all, but inside it's very beautiful. They have lots of gardens and like different little sections you can walk around in between the little pools for privacy and things like that. But if you camp there, you get access 24/7. If you just go there for the day, it's
that
like
might
9
be
to 9.
the golden thing is like go camp and then
Yeah.
go late
I mean,
at night when there's not that
Yeah,
many
the vibe
people.
is if you're camping there, there's a little more of a
I don't know. Tell me.
what
happens?
Swinger vibe.
Oh,
You can get there. That's what I've gotten from the people that I've spoken to there when my
But
wife
this
and
is
I have
helpful to know because every hot springs
Yeah.
has its own vibe.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
fair. That's
So, yeah,
fair.
that
But that
did
makes it
seem-
very adult.
Yeah, that the people that were there camping, they were there with a purpose.
Hanging out,
Yeah.
meeting people.
Yeah, meeting people, doing their thing. Which 21 and up, they do what they're adults. They're gonna do their thing.
No, I love that too, just because there's so many different hot springs here. It's helpful to know like which ones are best. And honestly, some of them are more adult oriented. And if that's what you're looking for, this sounds like the perfect spot.
Yeah.
Paul?
All right. My pick here, it's underrated in the sense that most people really hate it, I think. But I think it was good. And ever since I've gone, I can't stop thinking about it. The Coors Brewery Tour is recently renovated a couple years ago. The Coors Brewery was founded in, of course, 1873. It's our oldest and biggest brewery. Costs $20 for adults to take this tour. It takes about an hour and a half. You see a lot of history. You get free samples. Well, not free because you've paid to do the tour. But all sorts of fun facts, learn about the history of this place, learn about the beer, the brand, the, corporate mega brewing. What's that like today? And then once you're in Golden, I mean, that's a whole day right there. Maybe you go tubing, maybe you go and enjoy that little nice shopping strip.
They do tastings and stuff, right? Is that part of it?
Yeah, at the end of the tour, it ends in this. What they renovated recently was mostly this tasting room, so it's like a place to hang out and try whatever the new thing is that they're pushing.
I like that.
Yeah, there's a nice little hike around there. I always joke around. I like to be able to see the brewery in the distance on a hike. If I can't see that anymore, we've gone too far. That's my.
I got to be able to get back to their
level of hike I want to go on
and have a drink.
Yeah, your skill level or whatever they call it.
Bree, how about you?
I picked Meow Wolf's Adultiverse. Once a month, it's adults only, and Meow Wolf to me is deceivingly. Sometimes people think it's for kids. To me, it's a little darker in vibe, and so it to me is more adult. But going there without kids, as a person with kids, I almost prefer to go on the adult night because I don't know, it's just like less chaotic and more exploratory. And also, they serve alcohol, so I know a lot of folks like that. I think a lot of museums have done that, those nighttime things. The Museum of Nature and Science does it. And I think that it honestly makes a difference. I think getting to hang out with other adults in this space, and it's also like it's from 5. It's in the evening, so it's like from 5 to 9, I think. So there's plenty of time to still like go to a show or go do something else.
Parent hours, I feel like.
Yeah, it kind of is. And so it's like if you want to make an early night, you can do that. Or if you want to go out after that, you can do that. And I think it's just something that also is really cool to bring people to.
Yeah.
Great pick.
Okay, well, if you have any picks, what are your underrated tourist spots in and around Denver and across Colorado? Give us a call on the Underrated Tourist Spots hotline, 720-500-5418. Okay, before we go, JD, where can people see you?
I'm going to be performing at Comedy Works for their New Faces competition August 14th. So if you want to come DM me on Instagram or whatever, I can try and hook you up with some free tickets.
Awesome.
First 10 get to me. I'll get you some free tickets, all right? Because there's a limited number.
Comedy Works also, I would say, a tourist destination.
Oh, yeah, for
People
sure,
come
for
to
sure.
Colorado to see comedy there. So why not check out you and some of our other fellow
come
local
support
comics?
me. Yeah, Left Hand Right Brain on Instagram. Hit me up and help me beat Josh Emerson in that competition. All right, guys. Yeah.
Ooh, shots fired! Shots fired!
I need your support.
Well, JD, Paul, thank you so much.
See you next time, Bree.
Thank you.
That's all for today here on CityCast Denver. If you enjoyed this show, why not take a minute to tell your friend visiting Denver about us? Rate the show wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe to our morning newsletter and learn more about us at denver.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. See you later. That's like when I realized Jeff could be spelled G-E-O, Geoff. There was one male writer at Sassy Magazine, my favorite magazine growing up, and his name was Geoff. And it was not till I was way an adult that when I was reading his columns and stuff, I was like, oh, Geoff.